Why? My wings are too small.
Welcome to the Filmcast review of Good Fortune. I'm going to read the plot summary of this movie from the internet. A well-meaning but inept angel named Gabriel meddles in the lives of a struggling gig worker and a wealthy venture capitalist. End quote. Devindra Hardwar, what are your thoughts on Good Fortune?
My thoughts on Good Fortune are that it really, I miss Aziz Ansari writing sweet comedy, like just really good-hearted comedy, making fully formed characters who feel interesting, and also he has something to say. This movie reminds me a lot of Master of None, his Netflix show, which covered a lot of ground. I feel like not many people saw the final season. And the final season was some incredible stuff.
Extraordinary. I think it's one of the final season was very different and obviously came after some amount of controversy that occurred. But I thought the final season is one of the most impactful works of art I have ever seen, like in my life. I would say Master of None season 3 was extraordinary. And so
that was more of a dramedy series that had some comedy in it. But Aziz has a knack for writing like just sweet, kind characters and funny situations. And I think Good Fortune has a lot of good stuff in it. I feel like, man, I was waiting for him to make a great comeback with this and everything. Then the Riyadh Comedy Festival happened. I'm like, man, buddy, I was just getting ready to love you fully again, really bring you back into things. I think the message of this movie is so great. It comes from the perspective that is very worker and labor centric. And Aziz is somebody who has reached a certain amount of success, but also clearly remembers what life was like to struggle to get there. And this is told from the perspective of gig workers and people working in retail and people trying to organize unions, and how we live in a society that just does not really support that, right? It's just really hard to exist and hard to live if you don't make much money. And also how the society is weirdly weighted towards, if you're rich, you get stuff for free, when the people who barely have money don't. So I think there's a lot of great perspective in this, and I think it's genuinely funny and genuinely sweet, and I really liked it. It is also kind of amazing this is a thing that's in theaters, because we're not seeing just straight up comedies that aren't specifically genre focused. It's not just rom-com adjacent or something. It's just a sweet story about a guy and he's dealing with angels. And I hope we get more stuff like this from Aziz. Nice to see Keanu in a comedy role too. He's popped up in a couple of movies. He's popped up in a rom-com, but it's cool to see him just showing up in different things. I really enjoyed this.
And I would say this role plays to his strengths. We've seen movies that I think really use Keanu very well, and some movies that use him poorly. He has a very specific set of skills, a very specific demeanor, and I do think that this movie makes good use of them. I am really curious, Jeff Canada, what do you think about Good Fortune?
Well, Dave, I guess you could say what I thought about Good Fortune is best summed up in the form of a limerick. A gig worker is feeling so sunk he gets a chance to make his boss the flunky. Hanging out with Aziz, Seth Rogen, and Reeves is fun, but the plot is so clunky.
Wow. I mean, I'm sorry you didn't like the movie that much, Jeff, but also, what did you rhyme sunk he with clunky? And what was the other one?
Flunky.
What did you
flunky.
say? Flunky?
His boss the flunky.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, Jeff, that's I'm being not being sarcastic. That's next level stuff. That is next level rhyme. Sunky and flunky. Flunky is not even a common word. You know what I mean? But it's accurate. So well done, Jeff. Well done.
Thank you. I wouldn't say that I disliked this movie at all. I thought it was fine. I think Devindra arrived on the perfect word. It is sweet. It's a sweet little movie, and I had a perfectly fine time watching it. Like I said, these three main actors are all so charming and can't help but be charming. And you're right. Keanu is such an odd bird. He's just such an odd presence, and his weird kind of staccato delivery is so odd, but it kind of works as a angel. It's such an he's not a human being. He's like an alien sent down here to be an actor. It's weird.
I really wish I could see Waiting for Godot is happening.
I know.
Oh, man,
my wife and I have talked about literally flying to New York for that. We just can't get sitters for the kids. It's also the first time I've seen him look old in anything, which I thought was interesting.
Well, in the documentary Wick is Pain, right? I mean, he's how old is he now? He's like 60, right? He's getting on in years. And so in Wick is Pain, I was like, it was the first time where I was like, maybe this guy can't keep making these John Wick movies. Right? Like that was kind of the first time that I felt that.
They should probably kill him off.
They'll get right on that.
The movie is lovely, and I think has some delightful parts. I do think it's very clunky. I do think it really shoehorns things in the way it explains things. I mean, I love you guys know me. I love magic and magical parts of otherwise grounded movies. That is one of my favorite things in a specific, like a romantic comedy or a light comedy, is to have a sprinkle of magic. L.A. Story is such a great example, or Defending Your Life, or something like that, like movies that have this sort of fantastical element to it. So I loved all the angel-y stuff and the rules of the angel-y stuff and how, all that stuff, where I thought that was great. That's not what I'm talking about with the clunky sort of shoehorning in. It's like explaining certain things away with a hand wave, or, like forcing Seth Rogen into the situation that he didn't need to be in at all. Like it's a very odd, I don't know how, we could probably talk about it in spoilers, but Seth Rogen, there are 3 main storylines in this movie. Every one of those actors gets a full storyline, a full arc. And I think the movie is just trying to do too much with its short running time. Like, we have a whole Keanu Reeves thing going on. We have a whole Seth Rogen thing going on. And while those are happening, Aziz is just like off stage completely. And then we have a whole Aziz thing going on. And I don't think any one of them, is fully fleshed out in the way you might if that was the whole movie, And so we sort of shorthand a lot of things, and it ends up, to my mind, feeling clunky. It feels like, we didn't have really the time to explain this, so we'll just say it happened, and you just have to suspend your disbelief and like, okay, you guys are now hanging out together because we want you to. There's no real reason for Keanu's like, should we hang out? And they're like, yeah, let's hang out. It's like there's no reason for that. It's just we're just gonna force it into the script. And I felt like that happens quite frequently in the movie, to the point where it was like, well, this isn't a home run for me. This isn't a movie I'm going to scream from the mountaintops and be like, I love this film, which I do for Master of None, for example, But I do think the movie is sweet, as Devindra said, and charming, and has a lot of lovely things. I think the message, while it is one that I thoroughly align with ideologically, I feel is a little heavy-handed, especially at the end where Seth Rogen is like speechifying.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
I think it is a flawed film for me. Not a home run, but it is one I would recommend if you want a sweet, lovely time at the movies, maybe a date night,
Well, I'll just say I loved this film, and I'm actually stunned that Jeff didn't love it, because when I saw it, I thought, man, I feel like Jeff's gonna love this one. I don't know you, Jeff. That's kind of, I think, what we've learned over the course of the last few weeks. Because here's why. Because I thought it was very similar thematically in some ways to Dark Matter, which is a show that you and I both loved on Apple TV Plus.
Wow, that's a weird comparison.
I know that this movie, Good Fortune, probably has a lot more in common with movies like Trading Places and It's a Wonderful Life, But in my mind, right? I mean, I do not believe it is a spoiler to say that one of the big themes of the movie is developing an appreciation of what you have in your own life. And when you see it from an alternate point of view, it may allow you to have access to that in a way that you didn't before. And I really got that. I'm definitely, now I'll just acknowledge, I'm definitely in a part of my life where I am reevaluating a lot of things, let's say. And so this kind of hit me at a very sensitive time where I'm like, a lot of this movie is focused on having gratitude for what your current situation is, and altering your perspective on what your current situation is. And I really just appreciated those things greatly. We've already talked about the performances. I thought they're all really strong and appropriately geared for what this movie is trying to do. I also got to say, I think the script is actually great. I think that there is a lot of setup and payoff throughout the script that is very satisfying. It doesn't just feel like all these people got together and kind of improvised their way through this. It feels like, oh, there's like a very deliberate plan for this that to me felt satisfying by the end. So I may have a handful of issues with the film. I do think that it is very unfortunate that this movie is one of the few films I've seen this year in theaters that has a really pretty strong social justice message.
Yeah.
And also, the writer-director of it just performed at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Obviously, he has his own justification for doing that, but it's been very controversial, and presumably he was paid very well for that. And so it's just like, it's hard to then square that with kind of this movie and the message of it. I will say that.
He said he'll donate some money to human rights groups, which is, a start, but it's like, I don't think he, and I think a lot of people did not ever fully engage with the criticism of like why it was a problem going there.
Exactly.
But I will say good things about this movie. There's a lot of people sleeping in cars in real life now. Like, the economy is hitting people hard. And this is a movie where it's like, yeah, a guy is sleeping in his car because that's just kind of the way he has to survive right now. And he is struggling. He is doing gig work. He's doing a lot of random stuff. The systems that they exist in are inherently unfair. Somebody can give you a bad review, even if something happens that's not your fault, and then all of a sudden your livelihood is hit. A robot can come and like take away part of your job, or a company can lay you off saying AI is going to do it instead. We have built these systems that are so inherently unfair and pushing people to such like a desperate breaking point. We're as we're recording this, we're waiting for SNAP funding to end in America. People are going to go hungry. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people are going to go hungry in this country because we have an administration that just doesn't care enough to fix any of these problems. But also these problems exist because this is our society. Yeah. This is our society that we're living in. And at least like this movie is aware of that fact. And I have not seen too many things like engaged in the fact that, we are living in a desperate economic times now.
It's tough because I think there's an inherent tension because most of the people that make movies are millionaires, right?
Yes.
Most of the people that make, and so it's like, it's hard for them to make
most of the people that star in movies.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And correct. Very good, Jeff. Most of the people that appear on screen in movies.
No, I wouldn't even say that. I think most of the people that are above the line, the stars of movies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. So yes. But a good point. Most people who quote unquote make movies like are behind the scenes, and they are not millionaires, but the stars are, and so then it's generally like a challenge to like square that with kind of a social justice message. But I think this movie does a relatively good job of it, and I appreciated that. So, and I love the ending. I honestly wept at the ending of this film because I was
it's definitely we could talk about that in spoilers.
I was very moved by it. I was very moved by it. So because
it's like a thing I wish would happen, but I know too much about how things work. I'm like, oh, I think that's. I mean, we can talk about it in spoilers, but that's another thing that just kind of rang a little hollow for me. Is that, and I know that that's what Hollywood does, right? It wants to give you the beautiful, idealistic version. It rang hollow for me and didn't feel earned. It felt a little pat. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about it. Let's get to spoilers.
Before we get to spoilers, shout out to Keke Palmer, who's great in this. As a love interest.
Wonderful.
She is fantastic. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Isn't given tons to do, but what she does is good.
She has motive. She has an arc of her own too. Yeah.
Spoilers for Good Fortune starting right now. I mean, I will say that I do think the movie's trying to do a lot. And I think that the Seth Rogen plotline is one that is probably the least. Well, the Keanu plotline is very small. Like it's not he doesn't have a huge arc. But I do think like trying to shoehorn the whole AI thing into this is a little bit much. Here's what I've learned this year, guys. Seth Rogen really hates AI. That's kind of. He was also in the studio. He also had a huge. There was like a whole episode dedicated to hating on AI, and I think
you watched Platonic.
As a prominent creator. That's a good thing
is it also in that as well?
Platonic. Every time his character sees a robot, one of those robot Amazon delivery things, he kicks it. And it's this. It happens almost every episode where he'll see one on the street and he'll run over and kick it and try to knock it over. Like, I think this is
I
wonder
if that's Apple tapping him on the shoulder. More of that. More.
Yeah.
Kick it harder.
Yeah. So he gives a big speech at the end, and Jeff, you were unmoved by it.
No, I thought it was a fine movie moment. I thought it rang hollow that experience would change that guy, and that we can pay our work. And it's like, yes, okay, I love it, but I am perhaps a little too cynical to.
You're jaded. I mean, it is possible for people to run companies in a humane way. None of them come to mind right now. Really.
Just no examples of it. I mean, but in the abstract,
no. But I think it has happened, and just I think it's possible. But you're right. There's not that many examples of it, and
it's really not in America. Like, it's happening more elsewhere, where there are support structures in a society to support things like healthcare and other aspects of your life. In America, it's real hard. It's real hard to guarantee any of those things.
I understand why your reaction is, oh, wow, the issues are far more systemic than that. And just because one guy has a change of heart doesn't mean everything's going to be solved. Like, I get that in theory. And also part of me does believe that it is possible for people to like try to be good and create a humane workplace and, make a difference in the world, So I was not let me put it this way, Jeff, there's like 70 to 80% of me that feels the same way you do about like, well, that's not going to solve anything. But then part of me is like, you know what? Maybe it might. And that's where I think
if it were more earned, like the thing, like I like this movie quite a bit. I just feel like that ending speech just didn't quite land.
I agree.
We see him have some experiences. We see him experience some struggle now and see how hard life is now, because he's lived kind of in a bubble of privilege since just making quick money in the tech world. But there's not much learning, I guess. Like there's not much like, oh, this is kind of why it's so bad. One guy doing a good thing to save his company, I'm not going to turn that down, or to like treat people better. That's not going to solve everything, but his specific thing to make the company work better didn't feel as earned as it could be. But this is a short movie. Also, throwback to movies that are almost 90 minutes long, right? So they didn't have much room to work with. This movie is cooking. It's moving. Like I do kind of miss that of, comedies that just like didn't really waste any time. So you get to a big ending. We didn't have time to really build into it, and I wish we did. That's the thing. But otherwise, the pacing of this movie, like I guess it would kind of hurt that too.
Well, there's a lot of. I agree with everything you just said, Devindra. So I won't even add on to it. I'll just underscore that. But there's other moments too where it's like what I like about this movie a lot is that it's sort of a postmodern It's a Wonderful Life. Where it's like. Hey, Keanu's angel perspective is the It's a Wonderful Life perspective, and this is like no, man, show me the other half, and this is awesome. I liked the flipping the expectation on its head of Aziz getting Seth Rogen's life and realizing this is great. Why would I ever want to go back? But it felt a little contrived getting Seth Rogen into the other perspective because like.
Right.
Aziz never feels like the kind of guy who's going to be like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Figure it out. He's going to be like, yeah, okay, we made this deal. Seth Rogen is being so magnanimous and being like, yeah, okay, keep my life for a little while. I feel like the obvious next step is Aziz going, yeah, just stay in the side house or whatever, there's plenty of rooms in here. You can stay. Like there's the idea that he would kick him out completely. And now they have to go gig economy on their own felt so shoehorned on into the narrative. It just felt like, well, I don't buy that that's the next step. And then Keanu going, well, can I hang out with you? It's like, oh, you want to hang out with the most uncomfortable of the situations, the guy who's having the hardest time of it. Like that, I would love for all of that to have just been motivated more organically and not feel like, hey, we are moving along at a zip here. We are keeping this at 90 minutes. So just yada, 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 the explanation and just go with us. Cause that's the situation we want to get to. We want to get to our trading
Maybe
places.
He just knew his angel influence was more needed with the Seth Rogen character than the Aziz character. Because one of the most refreshing things about this movie is that, having money to solve basic needs, like, oh, then a lot of the problems of your life do go away when you can afford a place to live and like get food, and like you don't have to think about like struggling to survive on a day-to-day basis. I think that's the smartest part of this movie, is that recognition of just like, you can say, it's important to live a better life, but also people need to survive. People need to eat. People need a place to sleep.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed all the ways it played with the formula, right?
Yeah.
So as you said, Jeff, like all first of all the stuff when Keanu is trying to convince him, hey, like we're gonna look into your future a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he puts his hand on his shoulder, and like, that sequence I thought was so beautifully done with the match cuts, and and then seeing like these, and the versions of his future aren't horrible. They're not like nightmarish, but they're just really uninspiring. And I love that it hit this really narrow target of, it's not like a nightmare, it's not like horrible. It's just like, oh, that's not aspirational at all.
Yeah, it doesn't make me want to go back to that.
Right,
like
exactly. There's nothing like, this is not like, people have worse lives than this. But it's not like this is going to motivate me to keep on going, the hope of this.
Right.
And I thought that sequence was so well done. And then when Keanu is trying to convince him that his life is worse now in the VC person's life, like, when he says, "Oh wow, hey, you have a pool expense. It's $10,000." He's like, "Wow, not so easy to have a pool, is it?" And then he's like, "No, it's completely fine, right?" And I thought that was very.
Oh, you got to go do work. You've never prepared to work as a VC.
Yeah,
I love that meeting.
The meeting.
I've been in those meetings.
2 minutes of work and
like those people.
All done. Let's drink.
That was all very good, and it's just really well done, because we have, like you said, postmodern. We have in our minds what that scene is, and then to subvert it in such a way, I thought was really brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love the quote unquote twist at the end, where Arj not only has to be willing to trade places back, he has to actually want to. Yeah. That I thought was just really cool. And when Seth Rogen reacts to that was like one of the funniest moments for me. He's like, wait, you're telling me like he has to not only be willing, which by the way, I thought was a very, difficult target already. But he has to actually want. He's like, there's no way this is going to happen. And I really appreciated that.
This movie has a lot of real moments. Arj talking to the kid's like, I want to be a geologist.
Great. Oh, that was
how many geologists I've met in my life? This is the trajectory of your life. And we're all getting older now, so it's like, that's when people ask me for advice, it's like, how do I get into journalism, buddy?
And then the payoff where he gets the bad review. That's like, said dark shit to my kid. It's like, I thought that was great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of that like setup payoff I found throughout the film that was very enjoyable.
But also genuinely real perspective of like, we have been sold a lie. I don't know, like the things we all heard going to school. Go to college, get good grades, you'll be set for life. Meanwhile, the actual like the things that underpin those jobs or our economy crumbling, absolutely crumbling, because people are just trying to yank as much profit out as they can without building like a sustainable society. So, we have been lied to.
The part of the movie that really moved me was when Arj actually comes to that realization at the end of the film. I honestly wish there had been a little bit more of that, because he says things like, hey, I like, he has this big party at the end, and then his character's dad is there, and also I believe it's Aziz's real life dad.
It's Aziz's dad,
and he says, "Oh, I invited my dad to the party." Like, but in this universe, he's a stranger to me, and I'm like, wait, so in the switched universe, like, you have a different family? Like, what even?
That's weird.
Is this? And I think
he's got like Seth Rogen's family.
That's, I guess, right? How does that all work? Like, that's never explored. Anyway, but I think that's actually, if you're like, hey, what's a reason you wouldn't want to switch lives with a really rich person that's successful? that's one of the reasons is like your friends, the people you know, your friends and family, like the people you care about.
Yeah, I think it didn't make enough of a deal about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like because it hints at that, and like the Keke Palmer character is really the stand-in for that idea,
right? But even that is not. I don't think lands the plane exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I wish there had been a little bit more because it's like, oh, there's all these experiences we wish you'd had. But that said, I do think fundamentally the idea is profound, right? Is that like, this movie, like the best type of its ilk, like It's a Wonderful Life, in my opinion, does make you reflect on the state of your life and what are the things you're thankful for, and how, like, yes, you could trade a bunch of things, but then it wouldn't be your life. It would be a different person's life, and it would be fundamentally different, and therefore, perhaps not something you would want in that situation. I also just gotta say I really love the ending, the final shot of the film. Very Inception-esque, very like the top spinning and then smash cut to black.
Very Inception-esque.
Well, and at the end of Inception, like
there's no mystery on this one.
Okay,
I
that's
like
fair.
the shot.
That's right.
I like the shot. The whole point of the Inception shot is mystery.
That's
open mystery.
I just mean like,
and then
something
the angel
happens right
ate
at
the taco.
right at the last second, and then it cuts to black. Like that's what I mean when I say
the angel
Inception.
eat the taco. We will never know.
Yeah.
Can angels eat tacos?
Okay, fair enough.
It's actually true. We don't know. We don't know if the angel can eat the taco.
Who knows? Maybe it just falls down afterwards because you can't eat it. But I did like that. It's like, oh, it's kind of a quick, like if you're not paying attention, you miss it, and then it's over. The movie's over, and that's what I like about it. I agree that in many ways it is different than Inception. But, so anyway,
it's fun. It's fun.
Really I like the movie a lot. And Jeff, I'm sorry.
More comedies
like
in theaters.
No, I don't want you to frame it like I didn't like it.
Okay.
I had a pleasant time watching this movie. I just thought it.
That's fair.
Its potential was greater than it achieved, in my opinion.
Sure.
It also feels weird being like nice, pleasant comedy that is not like a specific genre.
Yeah.
In a theater.
And this isn't like a gross out comedy.
Yeah. I'm also going to say this, that has an actual plot. That's not just like, hey, we're all just riffing and improvising. Like
high concept.
High concept, right.
Yeah.
It's rare and we should support them when we can. So anyway, I'm glad you guys liked the movie to the extent that you did. And at the end of the day, it is impressive that Aziz Ansari made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.